Morning as we go to the Chittas of today. Today is Thursday. We are in the fifth reading of the portion of Shemais, the beginning of the book of Exodus, chapter 3, verse number 16. The Torah says, then it continues, God speaking to Moshe Rabbeinu, and he's asking him to go down to Mitzrayim. Lech v'safta ziknei Yisrael, go gather the Jewish people, the elders of the Jews. And tell them, Hashem Elokei Aviseichem, God, the God of your fathers, Nida Eli came to me, Elokei Avram, the God of Abraham, Yitzchak, Yankov, Lema, Pakait Pakadati. I've surely remembered, I've remembered, Eschem. What's doing to you, what's happening to you in the land of Egypt. Rashi says, what means the elders, though the devoted to study. In general, the Torah, Zikne doesn't mean old. But as the Gemara says, that shakana chachma, somebody who acquires wisdom. It means for if you say it means ordinary elderly men, how is it possible to gather them all, the elderly men of 600,000? So therefore, it means not the elderly, it means the wise. And tell them, and I said, I'm sorry, I will bring you out from the afflictions of Egypt. Eretz Kanani to the land of the Canaanites, Achiti, Ameri, Apizi, Achivi, Avusi. Eretz to a land of Zavas, Chalav, Loash, a land of flowing of milk and honey. Verse 18, and they will listen to your voice. Vasa Atav is Zikri, so then you and the elders of the Jewish people will come and Melech Mitzrayim to the king of Egypt. You're going to tell him, Shem Elokei, God, the king, the God of the Hebrews. Nikra Aleinu has called to us, and therefore please let us travel for 3 days. Bamidbar to the desert, with Nizbach Hashem Elokeinu, we need to bring a sacrifice to God. Now she says, as soon as you say this expression, Hakaid Yifkaid, I will surely remember, I'll remember to them, they will hearken, they will listen to your voice. If you remember the end of the book of Genesis, the book of Bereshis, over there, Yosef gave them this sign. He told them when there come a time, somebody will come, Pakad Yifkaid. So they, Pakad, when Moshe Rabbeinu said those words, they remembered Yosef's promise that they were going to go out of Mitzrayim. Elokei Ivrim. She says the word Ivrim over here has a two yuds in it. Has two yuds in it. And what does that symbolize? So it alludes to the 10 plagues. Extra yud. Nikra Aleinu. She says an expression of occurrence. Mikra is like Nikra. God happened upon us. And the concept of Nikra. Verse 19, and I know. I know right away that your mission is going to seemingly fail in the beginning, because the king of Egypt is not going to allow you to leave. If not with an outstretched arm. Now she says, if I do not show him my mighty hand, meaning as long as I'm not shown the might of my hand, he will not let you go. Will not permit leyitin. It will not give you. In this case, however, Uncle Srez leyishpeik, which means not permit you. If I did not let you, but God did not let him. But they all are expression of giving. Basically, an expression of giving. In this case, giving permission. Others explain v'lei biyot chazaka, and not because of his hand is mighty, for as soon as I will stretch out forth my hand and smite the Egyptians, etc., the Targum renders it as not because of his strength is mighty. That is, he told that this is what was told to me in the name of Yaakov, the son of Rabbi Menachem. I'm going to send my hand, I will smite the Egyptians. With all my miracles. Which I'm going to do in their midst. And then after all these things that I'll show, he will send it. And I'll put the favor in the eyes of the Egyptians. And when you'll go, you will not go empty-handed. Verse number 22, Vishalu Isha Mishchenta Migaras Besa. And each woman shall borrow from her neighbor and from the dweller of her house. Silver and gold objects, the smallest and garments. You're going to put them on your sons and your daughters. And you'll empty out Egypt. Now she says, Megada's Beisei, Me'isha Shigari Tebayis, the ones who live with you in the house. When it's altem, we're not going to do this whole Rashi. Rashi is just going to prove the word Mitzaltem. What's the word Mitzaltem? And Rashi Taigum, the Taigum rendered it Mitzaltem. Mitzaltem sounds like you'll save them. But the Mitzaltem, the Taigum translated as this Lukunin, and you will empty it. So Vayinotzlu, and Rashi brings down all the psukim in the Torah that expresses the word Mitzaltem means to empty out. Chapter 4, verse number 1. And Moshe answered and said, they behold, they will not believe me. And they will not listen to my voice. Because they'll say, God did not reveal himself to you. So God said to him, what's in your hand? He said, I have a staff in my hand. Now she says, the word mazeh, you see over here in the pasuk, it's two separate words. But the way it's written, it's actually one word. Ksiv, that's why in the parentheses over here, ksiv mazeh, mem zayin hey. It's an unusual spelling. It's usually spelled mazeh, two words. It's written as one word to imply the meaning from this mizeh. So instead of mazeh, what is it? Mizeh, from this. From your hand, you're liable to be stricken because you spoke against the Jews. Mizeh. So it is a simple meaning, and its simple meaning is that God tells to talk to Moshe as a person who says to his friend, "Do you admit that this before you is a stone?" He answered him, "Yes." Well, I'll make it you as a tree. David says, "What do you mean they're not going to steal? What do you mean that you don't have powers? I'm giving you the power. It's not your power." He said, "Throw it to the ground." I'd say he threw it to the ground. It turned into a snake. And Moshe fled from it. Now she says, why did it turn into a snake? Over here, the Eibishter hinted to Moshe that he spoke evil against the Jewish people, Lashon Hara. And he adopted the art of a serpent, going back to all the way to the Garden of Eden, where the serpent spoke. Lashon Hara, evil talk, is called a nachash, a snake, slander. God said to Moshe, grab its tail. And he stretched out his hand. And he grabbed the tail. It turned back to a snake. It turned back to a stick. Now she says, "Vayachzik" over here is lashon achitza, expression to hold on, and you find it many different times. The word "vayachzik" in general, "vayachzik" means he strengthened himself, but over here it means he grabbed, and we find this concept in many different psukim. Verse number 5: "Laman yaminu ki yaminu," so they will believe you. Ki nirei lecha Hashem, they'll see this miracle, so they'll believe you. Alakei Avos, the God of the fathers, Alakei Avram, the God of Abraham, Alakei Yitzchak, the God of Yitzchak, Alakei Yaakov. Vayem Hashem lo yoid, and then the Eibush said to him more, "Heavy enough, yadei becheka, take your hand, put it into your bosom. He put his hand in his bosom, and he took it out, and he saw that his hand was completely white, like leprosy. Now she says the usual tzadas, leprosy, to be white, as we find later, the white blemish in Vayikra. With this sign too, he hinted to him they spoke lashon hara, because that they will not believe you. For this reason, he was stricken with tzadas. Just like later, we find that Miriam got sick with tzedas because of her lashon hara. Vayemen, he said, Hashiv yadchel cheka, put your hand back in your bosom. Vayashiv yadchel cheka, he took it out. He returned back to his flesh. What do we learn from it? Rashi says, from here we learn that the divine measure of good comes quicker than the measure of retribution. For the first stance, it says, it doesn't say that doesn't say that it happened. Actually, it happened, took time for it to become tzedas. But here, the second he put it back, it became back to his flesh. Verse number 8. If it comes to pass, they do not believe you, and they will not hearken to the first sign of the snake, they'll believe you in the second sign. Now she says, what does that mean? Why would Moshe Rabbeinu want to do the second sign? When you'll tell them, because of you I was stricken, because I spoke ill about you, they'll believe you. But they'll already learned those who trespass against them are stricken with a plague, such as Pharaoh, Avimelech, and Sarah. You'll remind them that anybody who speaks against a Jewish person is stricken with tzedas. And so they'll know that this is true. Verse number 9. If they will not believe to you, these two signs. And they'll not listen to your voice and not hearken to your voice. Then go take from the water of the Nile, pour it on the ground. Then the blood you'll take from the Nile, they'll turn to blood by a bush on the dry land. Now she says over here, the Eibishter hinted to them that the first plague would be the plague of blood, because that was the first retribution God takes is against the god of Egypt, which was the Nile. Vahayu, next Rashi, it says twice in the verse Vahayu. It will become appears twice. The verse literally means, and it will be, meaning that the water that you'll take from the Nile will become Vahayu, blood on dry land. It seems to me that it says in Vahayu, the water that you'll take from the Nile will become blood on dry land. I understand that it means that in the hand, it would his hand it would turn into blood. Also, when it descends on the earth, it will remain as it is. But now the text teaches us that it not become blood until it hits dry land. It's not in the hand that it becomes blood; it actually becomes blood when it hits the land. And God said, Moshe said, please God, I'm not a man of words. Got me shilshem, not from yesterday, from the days before. Got me since and not for the time you've spoken to your servant. Because I'm a heavy tongue, a heavy mouth, and a heavy tongue. I'm not a speaker. I can't speak, I lisp. Now she says, from here we learned that for full 7 days, the Holy One, blessed be He, was enticing Moshe at the thorn bush to go to the mission. From yesterday, from the day before yesterday, from the time we have spoken, thus you have 3 days, and you have 3 times Gam is mentioned in inclusive words, excluding another 6 days. And it was presently on the 7th day when He further said to him, send out to whom you will send. So here, 7 days Moshe Rabbeinu is arguing with God, or God is arguing with Moshe Rabbeinu, until he became angry. That's verse 14. And he complained about him. All of these reluctantly was because all Moshe did not want to accept a position higher than his brother Aaron. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted that Aaron should be the one who would lead the Jews, who was a senior and was a prophet. As it said, did I appear in the house of your father when they were in Egypt? Your father means Aaron. Similarly, and I made myself known to them in the land of Egypt. And I said to them, every man cast away the spickle of iron from before his eyes. And the prophet, he was said to Aaron. So we know that Moshe Rabbeinu had a great respect for his older brother Aaron. And he wanted Aaron should become the leader and he should be his helper. Fatpeh, I speak difficultly. I stammer. He stammered. So God said to him, "Me some pelod, who gave a man a mouth? Me yasim ilim echidesh, who makes one dumb or deaf, a pikeach or blind, or some pikeach is one who sees, even a blind. Hashem, I am God who does all these things." God says, "Who taught you to speak? And you were being judged before the pirate concerning the Egyptian. Who made the Pharaoh dumb, that he could not exert any effort to command to kill you? And who made his servants deaf to not hear his command concerning you? And who made the executioner blind so they cannot see, and you fled from the executioner? Who does all these things?" He says, the name of the God, Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, Anechi Hashem, who's done all this. Therefore, now go. Anechi impich, and I'll be with your mouth. I'll instruct you what you'll say. Verse 13. Vayemer, the Eibushter said, Vayemer Moshe Rabbeinu said, Bi'adeni, please God. Shlach na bi'at tishlach. Send now your message to whom you will send. Again, many interpretations of this. With whom you were accustomed to sending. Again, Moshe Rabbeinu throws it back to Aaron. Another explanation with who else who you will send, who destined to bring into the land of Israel. Number two is that is to Yeshua. Says, I'm ultimately not going to be the one to bring the Jews in Israel. And ultimately, some say he said, let it wait for Mashiach to come. Why wait? Why you have to have so many messengers? Well, let's wait till Mashiach comes, and let's wait, and Mashiach will take us out of Mitzrayim. Because I'm not going to be the one who's going to take the Jews out ultimately. That's what the Gemara says. Moshe Rabbeinu hu goyel rishon, hu goyel acher. Moshe Rabbeinu will be there when Mashiach comes. Verse 14. Vayichav Hashem and Moshe, God got angry at Moshe. Vayema halei in achicha Levi adaiti. Said to him, I know. Don't tell me about Aaron. It is not Aaron, your brother, the Levite. I know that he will surely speak. And don't worry, he's heading out towards you. But he will see you. He'll be happy. Tashi says, Vayicharaf. Gemara says, Rabbi Shimon ben Karcha says, Kol charein after every instance where you find the wrath of God is mentioned in the Torah, it's as a consequence to this wrath. It was followed by a punishment. In this instance, however, no consequence is stated. We did not find any punishment came to Moshe after kindling this wrath, so to say, from God. Rabbi Yasi says, Tim, here too, you can see a consequence. As it states, namely in the question, is there not Aaron, your brother, the Levite, who is destined to be a Levite, not a priest, a Kohen? I had said the priesthood would emanate from you. Henceforth, it will not happen anymore. And Aaron will be the priest, and you'll be the Levite. So here was Moshe Rabbeinu's punishment. As it says, when Moshe Rabbeinu, the man of God, and his sons were called the tribe of Levi. That's why later on, Moshe Rabbeinu was a Kohen for 7 days. For 7 days, he was the Kohen Gadol. And on the 8th day, he relinquished it and gave it to Aaron. And that's the 7 days that Moshe Rabbeinu argued with God. God wanted that Moshe Rabbeinu to be the Kohen, he would be the leader, he would be the Kohen Gadol. From him would come out all Kohanim. But God said, we're going to flip it over. I'm going to give it to Aaron. He knew Yitzchak, when you're going to Egypt, you're so worried about Aaron. You're so worried about the honor of Aaron. Don't worry. Not as you think they'll resent your attaining a high position. Because of this, Aaron's goodness and humility, Aaron merited to the ornaments of the breastplates, which is placed on his heart. Aaron is a lover. Loves you. And he not only loves you, but he'll be happy in your success. So therefore, you have nothing to worry about Aaron's honor. Love, since you don't want to speak, so you're going to speak to him. You're going to put his words in his mouth. And I'll be with your mouth and his mouth. And I will instruct both of you what you should do. And he will speak for you to the people. And he'll be as your speaker. You'll be as his leader. Over here we see the word Elikim in the pasuk many times in the Torah. It doesn't only mean God. It can mean a leader. It can mean a judge, etc. Later on, on your behalf, he will speak to the people. This proves that in every instance of wherever it says l'chav, li, v'loi, v'lachem, v'lahem, it's all on behalf of. That's your mouth to be an interpreter, because you have to speak. You have a speech impediment. L'lekim, so that says over here, l'lekim means there's a master and a prince. And then you shall take the staff that's in your hands, which you're going to do all the signs, all the miracles you will do with this staff. That completes the Tanya, the Chumash of the day. And now go to the Tanya of the day. The Alter Rebbe is in chapter 12 of Tanya, which is a chapter of the Beinoni. And Alter Rebbe is explaining the concept of a Beinoni, which the Alter Rebbe says every person could be a Beinoni. You're not going to be a tzaddik. You may never ever reach the level of a righteous person, somebody who has vanquished his evil, or somebody who even put his evil to sleep, so to say. You're going to be a Beinoni. You can be a Beinoni. A Beinoni is a person that has evil in him. He has a nefesh of Bahamas, an animal soul, which has all the desires of worldly desires, which ultimately, if it's not contained, can ultimately chas v'shalom turn into evil desires. But he doesn't allow it to happen. That's it. The Alter Rebbe says for a Beinoni, there are many different times in his life. There's a time when he's serving God, he's davening, he's learning. Over there, he has the capability to awaken up the hidden love that he has in his heart and to reveal it. And at that time, he's in a moment of inspiration, or an hour of inspiration, however long his davening takes, or his learning takes. He can be in an inspired moment, and the world is like null to him. And everything in the world is irrelevant to him because he's in the mode of prayer. He's in the mode of learning. He's in the moment of a mitzvah. So he's focused and he's devolved and he's inspired and etc. Problem is, and then his nefesh habahamis is pushed away. But then when he walks out to the world and he closes the door of the synagogue, and now he's into the world and he sees the world. And the second he sees the world, his nefesh habahamis is back awake. And now he has to fight it. He has to make sure that everything that he sees is not going to affect him. Everything that he sees, he's going to be able to overcome it. So overcome the things that he sees. will overcome the things that he hears. He will overcome things that are challenging him in the world. How he has the capability of overcoming these things. Because if he has a nefesh of Bahamas, is a nefesh of his animal, my animal soul is alive and well, and I have a natural desire to the world. I have a natural desire to my physical reality. So therefore, how will I be able to overcome it? Alter Rebbe says you can overcome it because you still have it. You have this. You awoke it. You did awaken up your godly soul. You awoken your godly soul, right? That's why the first thing a person should do when he gets up is go daven or go learn. Come and daven, because that's the first thing you should deal with your being, with your body, with yourself, to reveal your godly soul, to reveal not only the godly soul, to reveal the love of your godly soul in your heart, to reveal the Ava Mesuteres, the hidden love of God, not only in the heart, but also in the mind. And now, once I go out into the world, I will always have this rishima, this impression that I have created and I've established when I started my day. And I now, with this impression, I can overcome things in the daytime. However, this impression retained in his mind from his meditation during his daven on the greatness of God, and the natural love and his fear of God hidden in the right part of the heart, will enable him to this rishimah, this impression that he walked out of shul, that he got in the shul, that he received while davening, and through his meditation and davening, that he received this impression of this love of God, will always stand with him and will prevail over and dominate the evil animal soul's cravings. So even though the second he walks out, and now he's connected to the world, and that's a natural love, that he has this worldly love and this worldly connection. How can he overcome? He'll remember the davening that he davened, and he'll remember the prayer, and he'll say, wait a second, I love the Eibishter more. That's more important to me. You're right, I have to get involved in the world, but it's not for the worldly matters. It's not for selfish reasons. I'm going to get involved with the world for a purpose. Preventing the evil from gaining supremacy and dominant over the city. To carry out its craving from potential, from the natural desire to the actual. This is important because you always has the Beinoni always has the potential. From potential to actual. We all have potential. Just like we have we all have surely potential of good. We all have potential of evil because we have it, unless you're a tzaddik. If you're not a tzaddik, I have a potential of evil because I have an animal soul. So therefore I have potential. And I should never forget that as holy I think I am, I still have the potential of evil. If somebody pushes the wrong button, I see the wrong thing, I connect to the wrong person, and therefore I have to always make sure that never to bring potential koyach halapel. That what happens when I bring potential into reality? That's by clothing itself in the organs of the body. That's by either in actual speech or deed. And even even furthermore, even the mind alone, forget about speech and deed, even to your mind, to my mind. Respect a sinful thought. Ein hara. Sorry. Even in his mind, we respect a sinful thought. The evil has not the dominion and the power to causing him, God forbid, to think about such thoughts consciously. This is very important. That he has a natural instinct to think an evil thought, maybe that's his potential. Because I have a nefesh abahamis. I have an animalistic soul, which wants to think this thought. But that's not my conscious will. That's not my conscious will, but it's saying that my ratzon is not to do that. To cause his mind to accept it willingly. This forbidden evil thought, which goes automatically, it's almost automatic. The second I walk out of shul, the second I go into the world, the second I open the news, the second I see something, automatically I have a natural thing maybe to look at it negative. I meet somebody, maybe I have a natural tendency to maybe talk Lashon Hara. That's my nature. That's why Nefesh HaBahamis wants. Let's have a good Lashon Hara. So instead of talking to Lashon Hara, I say, let's talk something good. Let me tell you about Torah. That's the way. The second I push it away. So the second I have the desire naturally, that doesn't make me a bad person, because that's who I am. I have an Nefesh HaBahamis. I have an animalistic soul. So I have a natural dependency potential to talk good Lashon Hara, which I think is nothing, which I believe is not wrong, which is ultimately truthfully wrong, but I don't believe at that moment it's wrong. And therefore, I have the potential of talking Lashon Hara, or whatever the thought might be, and now I push it away in my mind. So evil thoughts will occur to him involuntarily because of the evil in his heart, craves evil. That's the way I'm natural. We have an evil tendency to desire things that make me feel good. People in general talk evil on other people because it makes them feel good for some reason. They have a less self-worth. The only way they feel good about themselves, we can talk negative about somebody else. So it's all about self. Nobody has interest in talking negative about another person because he has his personal honor. A person has to get something out of it. He gets some self-worth, that he's more better than somebody else. The evil does not have a final say on what he will let his mind accept willingly. The Beinli conscious mind is dominant by the divine soul. And that's what the Beinli says. You know what? I'm not going to think it. I'm going to push it away. Either I'm going to think something else, or I'm going to think godly things. Immediately upon the thought arising to the mind, either Beinli thrusts it away with both of his hands, or Masiyah daiti and averts his mind from it. Miyad kitchenistur shur hirurad, an instant he realizes that's an evil thought. He refuses to accept it, even as a subject for mere conscious thought. And certainly not to entertain the notion of acting on it. I feel even to speak about it. Because again, what transforms the middleman into a wicked man is one thing. Is the ratzon, is the will to do that. That I have evil capability of evil thought, that God gave me. He gave me a nefesh HaBahamis, gave me an animal soul which craves self and selfishness and will do anything to protect its self-worth, even if it has to talk evil. Your nefesh, your mind now can either think it or not. You can either decide, if that's your free choice, to push that away or to think it. The second you allow it, with your own free will, to think that thought, to say that word, now you become a Rasha. Now you'll become wicked. Was one who willingly indulges in such thought, Nikra Rasha is Dima Rasha, but Shah at that moment. So then you're not a Beinoni anymore. You've now transformed into a wicked person. Because a Beinoni and a Rasha filasha achas leilam. Because a Beinoni is not a Rasha. Even a single moment in his life. Obviously, then the Beinoni would not willingly entertain an evil thought. Now you see the greatness of a Beinoni in the Tanya. So a Beinoni does not willingly have a thought of evil. Doesn't mean a Beinoni doesn't think evil. He doesn't willingly think evil. He doesn't entertain to willingly think evil. That he thinks a moment of evil, that is natural, because he has an animal soul. That he entertains to willingly think it, now it turns into a Rosh. The discussion of his mastery of his animal soul has thus far centered on matters pertaining to man's relationship with God. Now, the Alter Rebbe moves to the next step. So too in matters, this is going to get even a little tougher. So too in matters between man and his fellow man. The Beinoni will not grant an expression in thought, speech, and action of any evil feeling towards his fellow. A tzaddik doesn't have an evil thought against anybody. We never have. A tzaddik loves everybody. The Beinoni has selfish tendencies. He has a nefesh of Bahamas. So he has a selfish potential. And automatic, when you're selfish, you have no room for somebody else. And the second you have no room for somebody else, and that person is trying to encroach on you, you're going to think evil. You're going to speak lashon hara. As soon as it arises in his heart, to his mind, any animosity or hatred, God forbid, or jealousy, anger, grudge, or the like. He will not bar them in his mind and will, refusing even to think of them. You have in the title, the Sikkim Leisita, not having the Kama. The Kama, take revenge. Even in your Seichel, even in your thought. On the contrary, his mind will prevail over and dominate, and the feeling of his heart to do the exact opposite of what the heart desires. Namely, to conduct himself towards his fellow with the quality of kindness, as opposed to the quality of severity, where hatred and anger originate. And to display towards his fellow a disproportionate love. Lisbo mimeni, in suffering from him at Ketseach, till the furthest extreme. If you understand the end of this chapter of Tanya, you'll know if you're a Beinoni or not. Never to get angry. Not to take revenge in kind. God forbid, even without anger. The contrary, to repay offenders with favors. Kosev, as is written in Zohar, Lilmei me Yosef im Echav. It is taught in the Zohar that one should learn from the example of Yosef conducted himself with his brothers, when he repaid them for suffering that he brought upon him the kindness and favors. Thus, in his relation with his fellow man as well, the Beinoni does not permit evil of his heart to express itself in thought, speech, and action. It is also understood from this chapter the regard to the practice of the divine soul is the Beinoni only master. He neither thinks, speaks, or does anything forbidden, but acts only in accordance with Torah mitzvahs. With regard to his essence, however, meaning his intellect and emotion, he has another master as well. His animal soul is still powerful, and it can and does arouse evil desires in his heart. Connection with the statement made earlier in this chapter that the time of prayer is the time for spiritual elevation. As the Frierdiker Rebbe, the sixth Lubavitcher Rebbe, comes to mind, the statement he said, when a Jew studied Torah, he feels like a student before God, his teacher, whose wisdom he's studying. When he prays to God, he feels like a child before his father. What a beautiful way to end today's Chitas, today's Tanya of the day. What a beautiful Tanya. We finished 12th chapter Tanya. Very important ending of the Alter Rebbe. Self-understood, which the Alter Rebbe wants to make an extreme example of what a Beinoni is, because we always can get lost in the meaning between us and our relationship to God. But very practical. The Alter Rebbe explained us what a Beinoni is, because we know our relationship with each other, with others, and how we get frustrated and angry and jealous and all these human natural things that we have, that it's hard for us, our relationship with others, because that's the Avodah of a Beinoni. Now we know what our true Avodah is. That Mayach Shalat Alalev. That even though we have selfish tendencies and it's all about ourselves, and automatically it comes into negative things the way we treat others, and we have all the right reasons. The other person's not nice, and the other person did something wrong to me, and I have all the right reasons to be not nice to him. Then I'm not a Beinoni. Then I have a lot of work to do, and I have a lot of work to do on myself. And I need to ultimately work on myself, not to worry about others that much, but to push it, work on myself. The other person, he'll have his service with him and God, and with him and himself. I have my avodah to make sure. That's why even Yosef HaTzadik tells his brothers, what you did is that's between you and God. That's your service. You did nothing to me. You did nothing to me, because I believe in the Eibishter. Everything that happened to me is because God wanted it to happen, not because of you. And therefore, how can I be angry at you? I can be angry at you if you did something bad to me. You didn't do anything bad to me. So therefore, I have nothing against you. If I have any complaints, I have complaints to God. If I have any situation, it's between me and God. And that is the Beinoni. That's your mind. That is the capability of your mind. We learned the power of your nefesh elikis, your general, the power of a human being is Mayach Shalat Alalev, is his mind. The capability of his wisdom to think out of the box. The capability of going above yourself. That's why the Eibishter gave you a seichel. That's why God gave me an intellect. That's why God gave me an neshama, to be able to be not as a natural, normal way of life, which what you think is normal, natural, but to go above oneself and to be a little bit godly, maybe to be a little bit more spiritual, to be a little bit more selfless, every word you want to use, and that makes you who you really are. So you can learn this chapter a couple of times in Tanya, and we sure, it was known thing by Chassidim. They knew all the first 12 chapters by heart. And surely chapter 12 of Tanya, this chapter, that's a very powerful chapter, because it's really the foundation of what the Alter Rebbe is going to continue in Tanya, in explaining of what a Beinoni is and what is my service as a Beinoni, as a middle person, to overcome myself. Really, the truth is that everything that I need to overcome in the world at large is really overcoming myself. And if I can overcome myself, I can overcome everything that's happening in the world around me. Today is the 23rd day of the month. It is chapter 108 to chapter 112. If you do those 6 chapters, those 5 chapters, I'm sorry, you would do the Chitas of the day. I invite you all to meet Shem at 10 o'clock. We're going to learn a Sikh of the Rebbe, either at Chabad or on Zoom or on Torah Direct, either way. Come and learn at 10 a.m. We'll continue to learn some beautiful teachings of Chassidus. Have a wonderful and beautiful day. Mid Shem. Tomorrow we'll continue 8 a.m. We'll continue the Chitas of the day. Have a wonderful and beautiful day.